service. What is up, listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Full Service Podcast. I am Tank Smith, your host. Today is episode 57. Thanks for being here. Shout out to my guest from last week, Cherry Dana. Cherry, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That was a fun time. If you have not yet, make sure you check out last week's episode. Give Cherry a follow. She is on Twitter and Instagram at CherryDana27. I have a link to her Instagram, Twitter, her OnlyFans in the Libsyn page from last week, so make sure you hit that Libsyn page. Show her some love. While you were there, we are also on Twitter. We are also on Instagram at Full Service Pod. My personal Instagram and Twitter is at TankFunkadelic. Give me a follow as well. If you enjoy the podcast, if you like what we're doing here week after week, make sure you hit that like button, that follow button, that subscribe button. You'll be alerted as soon as a new episode drops. Ratings and reviews really do help for visibility for the podcast, so if you could, hit us with the 5-star rating, write us a review, that would help us out tremendously. Today, episode 57, I am excited. I'm actually coming to you from Raleigh, North Carolina right now. I drove up on Monday of last week. I had a thing in Greenville Tuesday and Wednesday, and came to Raleigh, I guess like Wednesday evening. So I've been able to do some comedy while I've been here. I did spots Wednesday through Friday, and then I have a thing tonight. So I'm excited about that. I've been able to do some interviews while I was in the area. My guest today is Bowie Sinclair, a Durham-based companion. We sat down a couple days ago. I'm excited for y'all to hear this. She recently moved to Durham from Vancouver, Canada. We discuss her working in Vancouver, her transition to Durham, her love of burlesque, life during this pandemic, online sex work. We discuss so much fun. I hope you all enjoy this. You can find Bowie on Twitter at Bowie Sinclair, Instagram at Sinclair Bowie, and OnlyFans at Sinclair Bowie. I'll have a link to all of those in the Libsyn page from this week, so make sure you check out the Libsyn page. Follow her on everything. I'm going to stop talking. I hope you enjoy this interview with Bowie Sinclair. Thanks. Welcome back, listeners. It's Tank Smith. I'm excited, so excited for today's episode. My guest, a Durham-based companion. She is North Carolina's goth girl next door, Bowie Sinclair. Bowie, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Hi there.
Oh, yeah. This is great. I'm glad we're able to do this.
Yeah, I've been subscribed to your podcast and really liked it, so I was excited when you emailed me. And you're like, hey.
Listeners, you hear that? She was subscribed to the podcast. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, what are you doing? I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Listeners, we are currently in Durham, North Carolina right now. I came up to North Carolina for a couple days. Bowie, how do you like Durham?
Durham's okay. I was born and raised here, but haven't lived here in over a decade. And coming back was not totally my choice. I came back because of COVID.
Oh, man.
So it's a for now situation.
Oh, okay. After, not having lived in Durham for, so long, has it changed, a lot since you...
Oh, 1,000%. Gentrification out the wazoo.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. I went to school in downtown Durham, and that's when little white girls like me, you, don't ride the bus, you don't go out at night. And now, I was just telling you, I had no problem walking around downtown by myself, in a skirt.
Yeah.
Felt totally safe. But you have to realize that comes with, me feeling complacent in my whiteness and what that means.
Yeah. I was going to say, now, little white girls in Durham, they're the ones doing the bugging.
Oh, of course,
you know?
yeah. Because they want pills.
Yeah.
Kick you in the shins.
Gotta have those pills.
Yeah.
Where'd you move from?
Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
How's Vancouver?
Vancouver's great. Really great weather, for the most part. I had a really great community of sex workers up there. It was very expensive, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that above Seattle? Is close to Seattle?
Yeah, it's a 3-hour drive.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to go. I've never been I guess Pacific Northwest, but it looks beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Vancouver, you can go skiing in the morning and surfing. Well, not surfing, but go to the beach in the afternoon, paddleboarding or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's great about it.
Fuck yeah. Being back in Durham, I know it's like COVID's happening right now. Have you found anything that you like to do being back?
I really like going on hikes down by the Eno River, and Duke Forest has some great hikes. That's really it. I mean, when COVID's not happening, there's a pretty good, like, burlesque scene here.
Oh shit, nice.
Yeah.
It's weird, like I never like before getting into comedy, I'd never like seen a burlesque show. I still have never seen a burlesque show now, but like they will like combine like comedy and burlesque shows a lot, and I'm finding like real interesting that like they do that.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend, I was big into burlesque in Vancouver, and there's a huge burlesque scene up there, and one of my friends is a comedian slash host, and so I think just the campy nature of it really allows them to sort of complement each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you do burlesque, or are you just like a fan? You like go like watching it, or do you actually do it yourself?
I do burlesque, or I used to do burlesque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's dope. What do you like to do for fun now?
Nowadays, I read a lot, I watch a lot of Netflix, but mostly I play my ukulele badly.
Hell yeah! Fuck yeah! What's a song? You got a go-to song in the ukulele?
I play this VeggieTales song called "The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything."
I feel like I've heard that.
I mean, if you went to Vacation Bible School as a child,
VBS were the days.
Yeah. I have to learn Pharaoh on ukulele now.
I was talking about, it's so funny you mentioned Vacation Bible School. Like me and my buddy were talking about the other day. It's a good time. If you're a kid, oh my god.
Oh yeah. And it's a way for our parents to get us the heck out of the house.
Free babysitting for a week.
Hell yeah.
That's a great thing. I know your name's Bowie. Are you a David Bowie fan?
Oh yeah. It started, well, one was I was going to name my dog either Freddie or Bowie.
Okay.
Freddie Mercury or Bowie. And name my dog Freddie. So when it came to choosing a name, I was like, well, I might as well be Bowie.
Yeah.
I also did it sort of for like internet anonymity because my SEO will never be higher than his.
Oh no, yeah.
So if you just search for like Bowie, I'm never gonna come
You get
up.
David Bowie all day.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I feel like every time I think about David Bowie, it's just that. Have you seen Zoolander?
It's a walk-off.
Yeah, it's a walk-off. The wedgie scene, though.
Oh, yeah. God, that's such a great movie. It's classic.
Love Zoolander, so good.
Mm.
Him trying to get the coal dirt off his like face with just
the
like
pile of cotton balls.
Oh, it's so funny. I gotta watch that movie. It's been a while. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. This is great.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to be asked on.
Fuck yeah. Can you remember like the first time you like heard of sex work?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm sure I heard about it not being called sex work. So I've heard these narratives in the media and in jokes about prostitutes and strippers and porn stars, and I'm pretty sure I heard that early at like on Law and Order or something.
Yeah.
That was a job you didn't want to be. But I remember my first positive experience or positive idea of sex work came from reading Jenna Jameson's autobiography.
Okay.
I was like 13 or 14. Now Jenna Jameson's like a crazy person. But it was called How to Make Love Like a Porn Star. And I thought that was fantastic. I was like, oh my god, I want to be a stripper and a porn star. And was just like, that is the life for me.
How did you initially get in?
Well, I have two origin stories.
Ooh, let's hear them both.
The first one is kind of typical. I was in university and went to an amateur night at a strip club, and then didn't dance at that strip club, but I got invited to do private parties as like a naked go-go dancer.
Okay.
Did that for a while. It wasn't my thing. I'm not a good stripper. I'm not a good hustler. It's just, there are better people. So
yeah.
It takes a very specific person to be a stripper, and I am not that good of a salesperson.
Okay, yeah.
And then recently, I'm still what you would call like a baby companion. I'm within my first 5 years of working, and I had just gotten out of a relationship, and the relationship was good. It was fine. I just didn't love the person, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
gotta go. I was really looking to kind of claim my sexuality and feel powerful in it. I mean, I'm not a very imposing figure. I'm very short. I look like I'm 12. I don't look like I'm 12. That's gross.
You don't look like you're 12. I'll have to add that.
But I look pretty like you could knock me over. And so I was trying to find some way to reclaim my own power, and my therapist at the time suggested sugar dating.
Okay.
And so I tried that and kind of found my way to companionship through that.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah. Before like kind of guess getting into companionship, did you have like an idea of what you thought that was going into it?
Yeah, I spent probably like 6 months doing research. I'm an academic at heart. I love doing research. And so I searched out sex work, companions, escorts on Instagram and Twitter, and basically like stalked all their social media, figured out what they were doing, and read as much as I could about the do's and don'ts of the industry.
Okay.
Way before I even thought about signing up for seeking arrangement.
Yeah. Like no matter how much, I guess like doing all this research and kind of like knowing kind of like what you're getting into going in, was it still any different than actually like, I feel like there's one thing to like study something, but it's another thing to do it. When you got in, were you like, oh, this is different than what I thought? Or was it like almost like this is exactly what I thought it would be?
Oh, it was totally different. I immediately thought like I had to be a certain thing. I had to look a certain way. And I thought that the money was going to be immediately like these high-end escorts that you see that are just like Barbie dolls. And for better or for worse, it definitely was not like that.
It was definitely not like that.
Oh, no. I mean, like, the money's good, but I wasn't, like, jetting off on, like, some rich oil baron's yacht.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a minority of people that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like there was like a waiver period or like learning curve to like like when you like weren't good at all?
Oh yeah, I definitely was not good when I first started. I didn't know how to recognize time wasters.
Okay.
I gave everyone too much of my time. I didn't have very strong boundaries in the beginning. And I'm very lucky that it didn't burn me in ways that it could have.
Yeah.
But I think there was a learning curve where I was like, oh, that was a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think your biggest challenge was starting out?
Confidence in myself and realizing that no matter what you look like or what you're into or how old you are, someone's going to like you. Someone's going to want you.
For sure.
Yeah.
What do you think the most important like thing you learned starting out was?
Be strong in your boundaries. Don't negotiate.
How long did that kind of like take to like firm up to where like I know who I am, I know what like I can say no to that? How was like learning that, I guess, or
once again, I'm very lucky. I had a very easy entrance into this field. I had people who supported me and people who reminded me that, you know, no matter how you feel, if you ever feel unsafe, you can say stop. You can say get out. You can do, your word is the last word.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky that almost immediately I had people backing me up, and it took me not very long, like maybe a month and a half to feel strong enough in myself to say that.
Okay, cool. Fuck yeah. I feel like that support has to be nice.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Do people like close to you know about work?
Mm-hmm. Everyone important in my life knows I'm pretty much an open book. My PhD advisor knew. They were not supportive, but I'm no longer in a PhD program, so that doesn't fucking matter. But my mom knows.
Hell yeah.
She had to come around, but now she's like, as long as I don't talk about the nitty gritty,
Yeah.
we can be like, oh, I learned this from a client. And she's like, that's so cool.
Hell yeah. I feel like that has like just feel great that like you're able to like have that conversation like with your mom and
Oh, yeah.
her supporting you and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah. Who would you say like your average like clientele is?
Definitely more white guys. Tend to be between like 35 and 65.
Okay.
Upper middle class, like businessmen types, but I've seen and do see any kind of client. I've had people who ask like, or who specify, I'm white or I'm Asian, and that makes me feel so sad because I realize just how many providers are like, I don't see black guys, I don't see Asian guys, and that's so fucked up. Fuck you providers who do that. That's not okay. Yeah, it makes me very passionately angry about it. But yeah, I think in terms of my look, it tends to attract the khaki wearing crowd.
Okay. Nice pair of slacks.
Yeah.
They like you.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between like I guess the clientele base in Durham and in Canada?
The clientele that see me, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that initially surprised me because I was kind of nervous. In Vancouver, in Canada, it operates on the Nordic model, as opposed to here where sex work is pretty much totally illegal. And I thought, oh, I might see creepier guys, or I might have to negotiate my screening process. I don't know how that's gonna go. But pretty much I've seen the same type of business type guys.
Hell yeah. Do you feel like clients know what they're doing in terms of like contacting you and like booking a session? Do you feel like people know how to do that correctly?
I only see people who follow my contact protocol.
Yeah.
I don't waste my time with coaching people. I mean, I might say if someone contacts me via text, I might say, hey, will you send me your screening information? And if they send me that via email, I'll look into it.
Yeah.
But if they're just like, oh, hey, and they don't introduce themselves, they say, hey, can I see you tonight? Or, you know, my very favorite text, you avail.
You avail is a good one.
I just don't entertain that.
Yeah. I wonder if you avail ever works.
Oh man, I want a shirt that says that. And on the back it says no.
In the screening process, right? How do you feel about references from other providers?
I actually just asked another provider for a reference. I totally get why people wouldn't give them it. You don't want to be responsible for a client's behavior at all, good or bad. But I started really working in Vancouver where I trusted this group of sex workers that we were all in like a group chat, and I knew that their clientele was pretty well vetted.
Yeah.
So I felt comfortable asking them and trusting their word. Here, it's kind of a gamble because I don't have that support system here, and I'm reaching out to people that I have to find their contact information on Trist, or I've filled out people's booking forms and been like, hi, I don't want a session, but I wanted to check up on this person.
Oh, okay. Do they ever get back to you? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, cool. Hell yeah.
And usually they're very sweet. If they don't give references, they'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't give references.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like for the most part, references that you have gotten have been accurate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there was one person who I didn't end up seeing. Their reference got back to me afterward, after I'd already canceled the appointment because I got like some weird feelings about the client. And their reference got back to me and they were like, yeah, they're really sweet, but they don't really respect boundaries. I'm like, yep.
Well, that's good.
Yep. Dodged that bullet.
That intuition kicked in and you were like, I know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
how willing do you find people are to like screen or like give up personal information? I know like you don't entertain people that don't give you screening information, so it'd be like, but do you feel like a lot of like people are hesitant at all to do that?
Now, more so, yeah. I have had some arguments with people being like, hey, I need this, this, and this. And they're like, well, I need to be discreet. It's like, dude, my job is illegal. I'm not going to post your information all over the internet. So definitely here I've had a higher percentage of people who try to argue with screening.
Okay.
And I even had this boilerplate email that I would send to people who tried to argue that was like, in case you didn't know, sex workers are murdered at an alarming rate, and here are some links you need to read, because if you won't screen, you don't deserve to see a sex worker.
Definitely not. Because it's like, why would I trust somebody you could be fucking anybody.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that, like, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
I feel like that doesn't help.
Yeah, those are some cautionary tales.
Yeah. Does attraction play a role at all when seeing a client?
No. I feel like, not initially at least. I definitely try, and usually succeed, to find something I find attractive about the client during the session.
Okay.
And, I mean, I always try to empathize and sympathize with them. So I end up, like, if I don't want to see them again, I won't. But usually when I have repeat clients, I do find something attractive. And it might not be, like, a physical attractiveness. It might just be, we vibe really well.
Yeah.
Or, like, their dick feels nice.
Yeah. That's always good.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure in a session to live up to a client's expectations at all?
I used to feel a lot more so, but now that's kind of waned. I used to get a lot of anxiety about, like, oh my god, do I look like my pictures? Duh, I look like my pictures.
You look like the... Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Or, like, what if they hate me? Well, if they hated me, they can leave.
Yeah.
Also, now I'm just like, I feel okay about myself, and there's always going to be someone who likes what I'm doing.
For sure.
So,
always.
Yeah. But ultimately, it is their time as well, and I want them to feel fulfilled and happy with the session afterwards.
Yeah.
So, in that way, I do want to live up to their expectations.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Has
your business been affected by COVID at all?
Definitely. I see less people less frequently, just because I care about public health. My family is full of healthcare providers, and I want to minimize my risk for contracting and or transmitting COVID.
Yeah.
So that has stopped me, but also I'm getting a lot less requests. So
okay.
I've had to find other avenues. Like a lot of sex workers, I've moved to some online platforms. Like I started an OnlyFans.
Okay. How do you like OnlyFans?
It's fine. It's weird. I tried camming in the past through my free cams.
Okay.
But couldn't really get into it because I felt so silly talking to a screen.
Yeah.
I much prefer the in-person interaction. OnlyFans, I'm finding it hard to keep up with a schedule.
Oh, okay.
And motivate myself. I do love interacting with people online, but I can't foresee myself doing, like, I have a friend who goes on, live streams, strip teases on OnlyFans, and I'm just like, I can't do that. I feel dumb.
That's honestly, like, so when, I guess, COVID started, a lot of, like, basically comedy basically ended, and then you saw this rise of, like, a lot of, like, virtual comedy shows where you're literally sitting at your desk doing, like, jokes to, like, a screen. And it's the same kind of thing. It's like, it's not the same thing at all. Like, it's a different thing.
It's a different energy. Like,
yeah.
I used to be a theater performer, and asking people to perform, or because that's honestly like part of sex work, it's a performance.
Yeah.
Asking people to perform to something that's not there and to conjure that energy, it's so hard. And sometimes you're like, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
Am I giving the best when I'm not getting that energy back?
Because, yeah, like, so much of, like, in-person things is, like, you're feeding off the audience, you're feeding off the person that's right in front of you, and you can feel that shit. But when you're having to, like, solely have that yourself and be relying on, like, creating that, you know, like, be yourself in front of, like, basically nobody, that's, like, it's so weird.
It gave me a lot more sympathy for YouTubers.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh man, YouTubing is such an easy job, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Jesus Christ, these people, they are a special breed of human that I could never be.
Yeah. They really, shout out to the YouTubers out there. Subscribe to the podcast also. We'll add that. Does burnout ever happen for you?
Oh, yeah. I definitely get burnt out, particularly from, like, trying to come up with concepts for OnlyFans, because I don't want to post the same picture of my vagina every day.
Yeah.
Like, how interesting is the same vagina? Like, nothing else is happening despite, or, like, apart from how long it's been since I've shaved. But I think I also get burnt out in terms of scheduling and making the arrangements of, like, where's my in-call gonna be? And how many people can I see at this particular in-call? In Vancouver, it was so much easier. I had, like, dedicated in-calls that were run by other sex workers, and I knew, like, if there was no one on the schedule, I could just go in and pay by the hour, and that was fine.
Oh, sweet. That's great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. How do you feel about reviews on, like, review websites?
This is kind of controversial. I see them as sort of a necessary evil. I needed them to get verified as a legitimate provider. For example, to sign up for a screening website, a particular screening website, I needed to show them that I had reviews posted within the last 6 months. However, they've also played a role in me choosing who I want to see.
Okay.
For example, I saw a client, and our session was totally fine. They were a gentleman. It was great. But then found out that they were talking shit, not about me, but about other providers on this review site, and just being really degrading and disgusting. I was like, well, I'll never see that person again.
Yeah. Damn. Can't be doing that shit.
Yeah. So I'm also lucky. One of my regular clients in Vancouver wrote a very, like, what I would consider the perfect review. Like, it wasn't specific in terms of, like, these are the positions we did. This is whatever. It was like, she looked how I expected her. We had easy communication, and I had a really great time. So,
yeah, just like a nondescript kind of, like, good review.
Yeah, you don't need the play-by-play.
Yeah.
This is not ESPN.
Yeah. Do you ever tour at all?
I haven't, but I am planning to. I actually want to go to Savannah and Atlanta and New Orleans.
Oh, boy. Hell yeah.
The next couple months.
Fuck yeah. Nice. In terms of, like, the, like, emotional versus, like, physical labor of the job, do you feel like your job is more, like, emotionally laborious, physically laborious?
I'd probably say emotionally laborious, because I really like to make a connection with my clients.
Yeah.
And just ensuring that I am in a place to do that, and in a place to take on whatever they may have, but also preparing myself to be this kind of person, because this may shock everyone. I am not Bowie all the time.
What the fuck?
I do have to get into kind of the Bowie mindset.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm just, like, in my sweatpants with my glasses on, looking like a hobo. But they're like physical wise. I realize I'm getting old because sometimes the next day my hips will really hurt and they'll get really tight.
Yeah.
Shit. I really gotta stretch before I
Gotta
have
work that
sex.
hip flexor,
Yeah.
Coming from like Vancouver, where I guess in the Nordic model, right, where it's like it's basically illegal for clients, but it's legal for you to work as a sex worker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that's safer? I mean, obviously it's safer for you as a sex worker.
So there I felt a lot safer trying to make arrangements to see clients and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Here I do feel a lot more like I'm sneaking around and I'm anxious more about like how do I look? Does my Airbnb person have like a security camera installed?
I got caught by my parents recently. I don't know, they never said anything to me, but I smoked a blunt right in front of a Ring doorbell and right in front of my parents. And I was like, fuck! If they didn't see the video, they might have listened to this now. They're finding out, hey, parents, I'm sorry, you were out of town. What can I say? Have your views on sex or sexuality changed since starting at all?
Yes. So now I don't yuck people's yum, which is like I first heard it from someone who does Burning Man all the time. So whereas I might have thought some kink or fetish was gross, now I'm like, it's not, as long as it's not hurting anyone or the hurt is consensual, I like, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not into adult babies, but if that's your thing, go for it.
I know, right? You can just be a baby. It's cool. It's just a cool thing. Yeah. Have your views on men changed at all since starting?
You're not allowed to tell people this. I used to hate men, and now I find I'm a lot more sympathetic towards men. I realize they're a lot more sensitive than I had previously given them credit for. And I think a lot of that is sex work, or at least the kind of experience I provide, because I do GFE. It makes a safe space for them to make themselves vulnerable.
Yeah. I feel like being able to be vulnerable with somebody else and then like accepting that is like so great.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I mean, it feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
Just like fucking just them accepting you. You're like, holy shit, I'm not fucking this horrible fucking person, you know? I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. Have your views on yourself changed at all since starting?
I guess so. This sounds so cliche, but I've gotten a lot more self-confidence, and that's bled out into my civilian life. Like, I know my worth a lot more, and not just, like, know my monetary worth, because I can change my rates to whatever the fuck, and someone's gonna pay it. But I know my worth as I am a dedicated human to whatever project I'm doing, and I know how to ask for what I need.
Okay.
Whereas before, I felt like, for example, if I was applying to a job and I would get that job and they'd start me out at, like, minimum wage, I felt like I'd had to be thankful for that.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, no. I've been working since I was 18 years old at one job or another. Like, I have experience.
For sure. What do you know about yourself now that you didn't know before you got into sex work?
I'm sexually attracted to money.
Just like Cardi.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, God, I love Cardi B. I mean, who doesn't, really?
She's great.
Yeah. But seriously, like, I was talking to my friend about particular kinds of queerness, and we think of queerness most often on, like, an LGBT spectrum. And I was talking to my friend who's asexual, and they are asexual but romantic. And I was thinking, like, well, I'm really just sexually attracted to money, and I'm not romantic at all.
Yeah.
So having a partner doesn't necessarily thrill me. I can't envision myself in, like, a heteropatriarchal kind of romance with 2 kids and a picket fence and whatnot. I can't even envision myself with a partner for long term. But I like having these discreet sexual encounters, and the fact that I'm getting paid for it is dope.
So dope.
Yeah.
The best. So, coming from Vancouver, where you said you had that like sex work community that was like so supportive, how is it being in Durham? Do you feel the same support in the sex work community, or?
I haven't found that, just because I came here during COVID, and so it's hard to meet people. I have had to turn online for a lot of my support. I am very lucky to have a sex work positive therapist. I've found some other friends and photographers who are sex work friendly that I'm like starting to form like friendships with. But it's honestly been really lonely because I can't just say, hey, want to go out for coffee?
Yeah, because all the coffees, it's all closed.
Yeah.
There's no coffee anymore.
There's no coffee.
Yeah, coffee's canceled until next year. Do you ever do duos at all?
Yeah, I used to. And that was really easy to do it with my network in Vancouver because we were all in this group chat and we're all like, all right, who is available to do this and who's available to do that? And here it's like, well, I would do duos with you, but I don't know how to vet you and how you will vet me if we can't meet up beforehand.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What would you say the best part of the job, worst part of the job is for you?
Best part is probably, honestly, really making an emotional connection and feeling like I've helped someone in some way. And the worst part is probably the anxiety that comes beforehand. Like I said, I am in a very privileged position of just my race, my economic bracket, and I am not a street-based sex worker. But I do have the media tells me a lot of things about what a sex worker is and what the risks are, that it's seeped into my psyche, and I'm always worried, like, am I gonna get murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that fear's never...
It's never completely gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody who wants to get, like, into companionship?
Do your research, and don't expect anyone to help you, because I had a sex worker tell me this when I was starting out. We are very worried about trafficking laws in general, and we don't want to facilitate trafficking at all. We don't want people to be able to bust us and say that we were facilitating trafficking. So if you are like, hey, how do I get into this? And someone gives you like, oh, you should sign up for X, Y, and Z, that makes the advice giver culpable.
Damn.
So I think that's a really important thing to realize, that you have to do this by yourself.
It makes sense. What would you tell a younger you?
Start earlier. Yeah, like, I wish I had started when I was in university, and because I could come into my sexuality and avoid a lot of really stupid relationships that I fell into just because I thought those would give me some kind of validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a client wanting to see a companion for the first time?
Come see me. First timers are my favorite. Comply with all the screening that's requested of you. If your companion requests you take a shower at their place, take a shower at their place. But generally just be polite, hygienic, pay up front.
Fuck yeah. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years?
Hopefully still doing this and living in a different city. Ideally Chicago, Vancouver, Seattle, one of those.
You go back to Vancouver?
I'd go back to Vancouver in a heartbeat.
Oh,
I
shit.
miss Vancouver.
Do you know how they've been affected by COVID at all?
It was a lot of the same as it was here.
Okay.
I'm not sure now. Right when I was leaving, gyms were starting to open back up.
Okay.
And, like, I know my friends are able to go to dance classes now, but they have to, like, wear masks and maintain social distancing.
Okay.
But things are pretty much open.
Okay. Hell yeah. Do you have a thing, like, if I could do anything, I would do this thing? Do you have that thing?
Do you mean, like, job-wise?
I guess job-wise. Like, if you could do something, like, if money were no object, you're like, I would do this thing.
Yeah. I want to be a surrogate partner therapist.
Okay.
Which is essentially a sex worker therapist. But there are, like, certifications you go through.
Okay.
I think IPSA is the certification body, but it's basically someone who helps people who have perceived sexual dysfunction.
Okay.
Whether that be erectile dysfunction or any kind of impotence, or they're just not comfortable with their body, or they're disabled in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I feel like that'd be doing the Lord's work.
Doing the Lord's work. Speaking of the Lord or saint, I just found out that Saint Nicholas, like Santa, is the patron saint of sex workers.
Really?
Yep.
Santa Claus. Who would have known?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have like a best companion experience at all?
I feel like a lot of mine are really good for no particular reason other than I really enjoy my time with the client. But I was thinking about, I went on this multi-hour date with a client and they brought me 2 books that I'd really been wanting to read. They brought me weed and we went to a museum and it was just a lovely time.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it was really just like pleasant.
2 books, weed at a museum.
That's the way to my heart.
Are you a fan of stand-up comedy at all?
Hell yeah.
Nice. You got any favorites or anything?
I really like Bo Burnham and Hannah Gadsby. I'm not, like, I haven't been to shows in years, but I like the people who play with the form.
Fuck yeah. Bo Burnham. I love Bo Burnham. So he's so funny.
He's so funny. But he needs therapy. I always feel like a mixture of, like...
I mean, every comedian needs therapy.
Well, everyone needs therapy.
That's why we're doing comedy.
Yeah. But I feel just like I want to give you a hug and, like, I want you to go on some Prozac.
You should go to a comedy open mic, and then you're going to be like, everybody here needs a hug, including the audience after what we just saw. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. But have you seen 8th Grade, Bo Burnham's movie?
Yes.
That was so good.
It was so good. That actress is incredible. Ellie, I want to say her name is Ellie something.
Ellie something.
But I really liked that they had actual 8th graders playing 8th graders.
Yeah.
As opposed to these, like, 20-year-olds who...
Yeah. I feel like every high school movie or every movie, they're like, they gotta shave and then be like, oh, hey, and put on this voice and act like they're children.
Oh, yeah. Like, so in Vancouver, they film a lot of the CW shows. Like, Riverdale is filmed up there. And I've seen the guy who plays Archie and Cole Sprouse, the guy who plays Jughead. And they're like giant humans who are super ripped and have 5 o'clock shadows. There's no way you're passing for a 16-year-old.
Hell no. The thing is, the fucking Cole's like Big Daddy came out so long ago.
Right?
And then that's like, if you were a kid in that thing, that was like, you should be 35 by now, dude.
Oh man, yeah.
I don't know.
That one of my favorite, this has nothing to do with sex work, but I was at a wrestling show in Vancouver and Cole Sprouse was there with his girlfriend at the time, Lily Reinhart, and there's only one bathroom in this venue. And I go into the bathroom and he's coming out of the stall that I go in and he had left the seat up. And so I turn and yell at him. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And he just looks at me. I'm like, at least you're washing your hands.
That's a good story.
I try.
Before we get out of here, do you want to end on any, like, any funny story or anything you got?
So this is a silly kind of terrible story that I hope the person doesn't get offended. But after we had done what we had come to do in a session, my client and I are having some pillow talk. We're getting real deep. And I just kind of make a throwaway crack and say, and this person, you would assume that they are very liberal, just based on everything about them.
Okay.
But I said something like, oh, you're not a Trump voter, are you? And he goes, actually, I did vote for Trump. And I yelled in his face.
Oh, God.
I didn't even yell words. I just went, ah.
Did he come back?
He actually texted me the other day and was like, hey, can I see you? And I told him only if he voted for Biden.
Beautiful. He might not be back.
Well, then fuck him.
Fuck him. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, he was a delightful person. We had a good time. I was just like, that was a huge surprise.
Just screaming, no! What have I done? Hell yeah. Bowie, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. This has been good.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fuck yeah. Before we get out of here, do you want to plug the old social media so that people can find you?
So on Instagram, I am Sinclair Bowie. That's SINCLAIR BOWIE. On Twitter, I am Bowie Sinclair. Just flip that around. Sinclair with no E. And then OnlyFans, it's Sinclair Bowie.
Fuck yeah. Bowie, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot.
Fuck yeah. Listeners, we will be back later. That was my interview with Bowie Sinclair. Yeah, shout out Bowie. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That was a good time. Listeners, she just plugged it. I will plug it again. You can find her on Twitter at Bowie Sinclair, on Instagram at Sinclair Bowie, and OnlyFans.com/Sinclair Bowie. I have a link to all her social media, her OnlyFans, in the Libsyn page from this week, so make sure you hit that Libsyn page. Show her some love. If you enjoy the podcast, if you like what we're doing here, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Hit us with a 5-star rating, write us a review. That would help us out so much. This has been episode 57. I appreciate you being here. We will be back next Tuesday. Is it going to be an interview? Is it going to be a solo episode? I really don't know at this point, but I will tweet about it. So make sure you're following us and you'll find out what's happening. But either way, we will be here next Tuesday. Like I mentioned, I've been in Raleigh for a couple days. Every time I come to Raleigh and I'm in Raleigh on a Monday, I'm like, oh boy, let's get tested. I went to the LGBT Center of Raleigh. They have testing every Monday from 5 to 7:45 p.m. completely free. They test for HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and hepatitis C completely free. So if you're in Raleigh on a Monday, fucking go do that. That is put on by the Alliance of AIDS Services Carolina, which has an office in Raleigh and actually does free testing Monday through Friday. So if you're not able to hit the LGBT Center on a Monday, you can go to the Alliance of AIDS Services Carolina office literally every single day. I will put a link to their website on the Libsyn page from this week, so make sure you check it out. I will also have a link in the Libsyn page for a comedy show that I'm on October 18th at Reformation Brewery in Canton. Starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are $15. Hey, if you want to come through, come through. We got them last. It's outdoor, social distance. It'll be a good time. But hey, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you being here. I will see you on Tuesday. Have a good week. Full service.